Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. Going to give you a very thorough overview of the article here. There's a link in the description. Quite a bit of mystery and intrigue in regards to this case. Not a lot of information has been released to the public at this point in time. More information will come to light, and that will, I'm sure, shed a lot of light as to the actual goings on in this tragic case. So let me tell you what I can tell you. These two people here are a couple. They live together in a town called Lowell in Massachusetts. Their names are Michael Burke and Samantha Perry. They're both 38 years of age. And they've both been charged with kidnapping after a man was found dead in their basement in a chest freezer. So they've both been charged with kidnapping. They have both pled not guilty. And there's reason to believe that they could actually be not guilty. So let's tell you what we can tell you. The 37-year-old man's full details has not yet been disclosed to the public. We don't know who the 37-year-old man is. We don't know the full details in regards to his death either. But what we do know is that the 37-year-old man, the victim that was found deceased in the freezer in their basement, he lived at the house. So he was a roommate or such by the look of it. 37-year-old man, perhaps a roommate, perhaps a relative, to be honest. Could be a relative, we don't know. But he lived there. He was also known to be an opioid addict. So he suffered from opioid addiction, and that's pretty much all we know. Now, the victim, the 37-year-old man, was due to attend his family's house for a Thanksgiving dinner. But he didn't turn up. Because of that, the family called the police. The police came to their house in Lowell, Massachusetts, and these two, I'm not going to say scumbags because there is a good chance that they're not fully guilty, but these two said, "No, coppers, you're not allowed in. Go away, get a warrant." And lo and behold, the police went away, got a warrant, came back, searched the premises. Tragically, they found a 37-year-old deceased man in the chest freezer in their basement of their home in Lowell, Massachusetts. Now, here's where things get a little bit confusing, a little bit murky. These two, the both of them, admit that they attacked the 37-year-old man. So let me remind you, they've pled not guilty to the charges of kidnapping that's been laid against them. However, they have admitted that they did, in fact, attack the 37-year-old man on November the 23rd. Further, they both admit to having bound the 37-year-old victim to a chair. Further, they both admit that they proceeded to duct tape the mouth of the 37-year-old victim. So again, these guys have pled not guilty to kidnapping, yet they've admitted to attacking and binding and duct taping the victim. Seems a bit confusing, but what they say and what the police seem to be corroborating, at least to a certain extent, what they say is that a third person was involved. A third person was involved in the attack, was leading the attack, was forcing these two to participate in the attack. That third person allegedly was holding these two at gunpoint, forcing them to attack, bind, and duct tape the 37-year-old victim. So if there is truth in that, if that is indeed true, then I've got to say that these two are not guilty of kidnapping. If they did what they did because they feared for their life, because a third person was forcing them to do that at gunpoint, threatening to kill them unless they complied, I would think that that would characterize them as not guilty. But, you know, that's my layman's feelings. And the police seemingly corroborate. The police seemingly feel that indeed a third person was involved. They seem to have an understanding of who the third person is. The article tells us that that the woman, Samantha Perry, has identified the third person involved in the incident, but that information hasn't been made public at this point. We don't know why. But the article also tells us that the police that have investigated the property feel that there is evidence to support their argument that there was a third person that was leading the whole incident and forcing them to go along with it. That's pretty much all we know. As I say, we don't know who the victim is. We don't know the exact means of the victim's death. And perhaps we won't find out those details for quite some time. But in the meantime, that's all the information that we have. Let's hope the investigation proceeds. Let's hope, first and foremost, that the third person is apprehended and faces justice, and so that we can get to the bottom of this to see if these two were indeed guilty. I guess it's going to be very hard for them to defend their position unless the investigators really do have some quality supportive evidence. Anyhow, that's all I've got to say on the matter. So I'm going to wrap things up. Of course, condolences to the victim of the 37-year-old victim. We don't know his name, but condolences to the family. Take care.